Dr. Joel, Kate. Thank you, Elizabeth. We'll turn it to you guys. Whatever you'd like us to do first. I can pull up the videos or the PowerPoint. So just let me know.
So we'll start with the PowerPoint, but leave no screen sharing for a second. So first of all, I just want to thank everybody for being here today. That you made it here meant that you had to jump through several hoops, which was following Mitra's instructions, which she sent out originally on January 24th, that ECHO was making a transition and that we needed to register differently. So I think there are probably a number of people who wanted to get in this morning but couldn't because they forgot to register differently. So for everybody who is here, thank you for making the effort to go through those steps and then actually the effort to be here this morning. And this topic is a little different from many of our usual uh, echo chronic lung disease topics. And I'm going to start saying echo chronic respiratory disease, I think, because I discovered in some other preparation that that's the category that the American Thoracic Society and the European Thoracic Society are using to signal that there's really a shift happening um, in the pulmonary medical world, which is realizing that COPD is one of a whole family of lung diseases. And I grew up in medicine using the term COPD to refer to almost every kind of chronic lung disease. And it's becoming, and medicine has advanced, pulmonary medicine has advanced in that now interstitial lung disease is another major category that we're recognizing. And so the general term is chronic respiratory disease, but Mitra and Selma and Elizabeth, I won't try to get you to change the name yet. This usually we are talking here about one of several chronic respiratory diseases, about its pathophysiology, its diagnosis, its treatment, important research going on in that area. Today, we're talking about a public health approach to respiratory disease, and especially a prevention approach. So I think that's one important thing that is special to me in what we're doing here today. And we're talking about public health action, a public health action for prevention that is specific to West Virginia. Or at least this presentation is about action specific to our state. It's a nationwide, in fact, a global problem. And that problem is vaping nicotine products, and particularly youth vaping nicotine products. And the reason that youth vaping is such a problem is that unfortunately the manufacturers and marketers are specifically targeting youth with candy flavored products. And it is very sad to say that the goal of that marketing is to get children addicted. And that's a sad story, but it is happening. And meanwhile, the public health community and the medical community that we're part of is pushing back against that by reaching out to youth and trying to empower them with information to make their own good decisions. And so that's being done in the public health world. So the problem is vaping or also e-cigarette use among youth. And one very promising intervention and tool in helping youth be informed and pushing back in a public health approach is a curriculum called Catch My Breath curriculum. And we'll be telling you about that. And then we'll be telling you about efforts and successes that we've had here in West Virginia to deliver that curriculum to children, youth, from in grades 5 through 8, but it's designed for grades 5 through 12. We'll also be talking, and we'll be talking about a project of the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health, which they have chosen to call West Virginia's Clear Future. But West Virginia's Clear Future specifically is a program to deliver this Catch My Breath curriculum to all 55 counties and to all 160 middle schools in those 55 counties over the next 3 years. So I think but to start out, what we wanted to do was to just give you a little bit of an idea of the size of this youth vaping program in in our country, and how that comes down to our state. And it won't surprise you to hear that just as West Virginia is kind of neck and neck with Kentucky for the highest rates of tobacco use among adults and all citizens, that comes down to the level of youth vaping as well, that we're one of the leading states for youth vaping as well. So what we're going to do, though, is to initially look at the scope of the problem, and then what the public health approach is, and that vaping education is just one part of a larger public health approach. It's not enough to deliver a curriculum to students and to warn them about the problems. There's a whole other bunch of issues and ways to attack this, which include laws like T21 laws that make it illegal to sell tobacco products to people under 21. Right now in West Virginia, it is legal. It's not legal under 18. So laws that prevent sales to youth, laws that limit the kind of candy flavors. So there's a whole comprehensive approach, but this curriculum that we're going to be talking about is one part of that. So with that, you can go ahead and go to the PowerPoint, please, Mitra. Oh, one other thing. Let me go ahead. PowerPoint is fine. Let me just mention also that we're going to play, in the course of this, we're going to play a couple of short videos for you. One of them is our case presentation for this echo. And the other one is just a short description, like a 2-minute description of the echo program, or the echo curriculum itself. So as you can see from this opening slide, there's a team of 3 people who put this presentation, or who have been doing this work together. I and Katie Birchfield are here. Dr. Adam Baus isn't able to be with us today, but he's with the West Virginia School of Public Health, and he has also worked with us on this. Katie I'll count on you to kind of give your background a little bit more when you start, Katie, but I would say that Katie has been started on this project as a university student, as a 3rd-year university student. I was looking through minutes, Katie, and saw that you were introduced to us as you're here and you're working in January 2021. So that's 3 years. And so the 3 of us have really worked closely together on this project. So we're telling you today about something that we have all worked together on as a team. And I'm sorry Adam isn't here to help us, but I'm really glad Katie is. Next slide. We do have some disclosures. We have no financial conflicts to disclose, but Katie already mentioned that she's a research associate with the West Virginia Alliance of Creative Health Solutions, hereinafter referred to as WACS. I'm also an hourly consultant with the Appalachian Pulmonary Health Project. And earlier, Dr. Sela mentioned that she's the consulting pulmonologist for this group, or for this project. And that refers to the Appalachian Pulmonary Health Project of Partners in Health Network, who have been working together on this Catch My Breath work really for since 2019. And a number of the people on the call today, I'd really like to acknowledge Brandy Bell, Tara Miller, Dr. Sela, Teresa Vogel from New River Health. I'm excited about that. I think that, let's see, from Preston, both Dr. Sela and I think it was Catherine Warner are with us from Preston. So they're all part of the Appalachian Pulmonary Health Project. And we work together on this vaping work, but we also work together on the Pulmonary Rehab Network, the Grace Ann Dorney Pulmonary Rehabilitation Center. So as a group, we've been together on a number of things. Next slide. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Just go back. Also, it's important for me to mention, as it says on this slide, that the views expressed in this presentation are not necessarily those of the Division of Tobacco Prevention of the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health. So because it's the DTP, the Division of Tobacco Prevention, that's leading this West Virginia Clear Future project statewide, and we are an active part of that. But we are not authorized to speak on behalf of the DTP or the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health today. So if the leadership of the Bureau of Public Health was here with us, they might have a slightly different angle on some of the things, but I would say I'm pretty safe in saying that we're all together on this, and there's no significant disagreement about what we're doing or what we have done. Next slide. One way to think about this is, what are the key words for this presentation today? And there they are: public health, tobacco-related mortality is what we're trying to prevent here. And tobacco, and so this will come up in a second in one of the slides. Prevention, you've heard. Youth, you've heard. Health education, catch my breath curriculum. And in this case, it's about our state of West Virginia. Next slide. So this is a little small on my screen. I hope, I might change my view so I can get it bigger on my screen, actually. Yeah, good. So this gives you some numbers about the scope of this problem. And it gives you, so if you start on the right-hand side where there's a whole bunch of numbers, you can see that at the very top, it says current use, last 30 days. So one of the measures that the CDC uses for the problem of tobacco use in general and vaping in particular, or e-cigarette use in particular, is they ask a question in 4 different ways. Have you ever used a tobacco product? Are you currently using a tobacco product? Or in this case, they specifically ask about e-cigarette. And the definition for current use is the last 30 days. And then they also ask, are you using frequently, like more than 5 days a month or 20 days a month, or are you using daily? So when you see these vaping statistics about youth, it's kind of important. You can hear all different numbers. Like I heard a number a couple of days ago, 50% of high school students are vaping. Well, that was 50% who answered the question, have you ever vaped at all? Or have you ever used a tobacco product at all? So these statistics show current use in the last 30 days. And there are actually 2 different CDC sources, 2 different CDC surveys that these statistics are taken from. One of them is the National Youth Tobacco Survey, which is done every year. And the other one is the Youth Behavioral Risk Survey, which is done every 2 years. So you can see on this table at the right that we have numbers for the National Youth Tobacco Survey for every year, including last year, but we don't have any, but those are national numbers, and then it breaks it down by high school and middle school. But we don't have any numbers for the Youth Behavior Risk Survey since 2021. So you get kind of a jumble of different numbers. I highlighted, and the other thing is the Youth Behavioral Risk Survey gives West Virginia specific data. The National Youth Tobacco Survey only gives national data. And so what you can see is that in 2021, the year 2021, using the Youth Behavioral Risk Survey, 18% of high school students reported using e-cigarettes in the last 30 days. Unfortunately, the YBRS doesn't break it down to give us a middle school number. West Virginia specific, 27%, 27.5% of high school students reported vaping in the last 30 days. That compared to 18% in the whole country. So that's a good example of how our state, it's a worse problem than most of the other states of the country. And we have that middle school number of 12%. If you look up at the top, you can see in the National Youth Tobacco Survey in 2021, 2.8% of middle students nationally, 12% of middle school students in West Virginia. But the National Youth Tobacco Survey numbers tend to run lower than the YBRS numbers because of methodology. So that's all kind of confusing, but however you cut it, there is a very high rate of use of e-cigarettes in middle school students and high school students in the country and the state. the very bottom of that table, I just figured out in 2021, there were 75,000 middle school students in West Virginia. 12% of that is 9,000 students. So in 2021, in West Virginia, 9,000 middle school students, which means grades 5 through 8, or by some definition, 6 through 8, were actively vaping. And then on the left, you see the time trend that, and this was e-cigarette use, vaping in the last 30 days, the same measure, last 30 days. You can see the red line refers to the older kids, the juniors and seniors in high school, and the middle gold line refers to the students who are freshmen and sophomores, and then the green line is students who are probably 7th and 8th grade. And so you can see how the rates steadily go up with age. And that's one of the reasons why our project is targeting the middle school students, because we're actually really targeting the students whose answer to the question, have you ever used a tobacco product at all? Vaping, cigarettes, dip, chewing tobacco, have you used any tobacco product at all? And 90% of students say, no, I never have. And those are the ones that we're delivering this to all students. This is not a punishment thing if you get caught. This is delivering it to all students. And we're especially hopeful that the 90% who've never used tobacco products, this will encourage them to never start in the first place. Next. This is a very interesting diagram for a lot of reasons. What this shows, and you can see that this shows percent of daily cigarette use, not e-cigarette, but this is cigarettes, from 1976 to, and I got to get to 2018. So these numbers, or these figures, are widely viewed by the public health community as a great success story. How you had almost 30% of high school seniors smoking cigarettes in 1976, down to 3.6% in 2018. And that comprehensive strategy of tobacco prevention through education, through laws, through warning labels on cigarette packages, through enforcement about it's being illegal to sell under 21, all those things combined, about public service announcements by state health departments, really had a great success in cutting down cigarette use by young people. And so the community was kind of celebrating, the public health community was celebrating this great success. And then e-cigarettes hit. Next slide. One thing that we just want to emphasize, many of you know this already, tobacco use is the leading cause of preventable disease and death in the United States. Repeat that. Tobacco use is the leading cause of preventable disease and death in the United States. And what those preventable diseases and deaths are: lung disease, yes, but also cardiovascular disease and cancer. So when you lump together cancer, cardiovascular disease, lung disease, the leading causes of death in general and premature death, then it really leads you back to what can we do to help people not become addicted to nicotine and tobacco products in the first place, to impact this premature death. Nearly all tobacco product use begins during youth and young adulthood. And so that's why our emphasis is on preventing first use. That's what this project is about. Next. Just also want to step back, and I've sort of alluded to this already. So what's the big goal here? And sometimes I think about this as, are we prohibitionists? Are we, didn't we try that with alcohol and didn't it go awry? So that's why I said here, almost tobacco-free society. The goal here is, other people might say differently on this, but I would say it's not to ban tobacco so that we have police breaking into the house of a terminally ill patient and arresting them for smoking tobacco, like was happening with smoking marijuana. It's not that kind of prohibition in my mind. It's that everybody has the right to breathe smoke-free air if that's their choice. That's what we're trying to limit. And it's against the law for predatory marketing aiming at getting children addicted. And so to do that, it takes a comprehensive approach. And I listed the different things. This comes from a slide from the Department of Health of the state of Washington. I'm not going to read all these because the main point here is it takes a comprehensive approach. And what we're doing is one part of that. Next. And a picture that I have in my mind about that is it's like we who are carrying out this Catch My Breath curriculum program in West Virginia and other people are doing it around the state, around the country. We're kind of like, our job is to make sure that that right rear stabilizer there with the fin of the airplane works. And our whole focus is on getting that right. And we're counting on other people to do the wings and the cabin and the cockpit and the wheels. We're all working on this together. We have one piece of the job and we're trying to do it as well as we can. Next. This is another slide that graphically portrays the necessity of a comprehensive project. This one comes from the West Virginia American Lung Association, which is one of the key partners with the West Virginia Bureau of Public Health in implementing this West Virginia's Clear Future project, which is to bring this curriculum to all 55 counties and all 160 middle schools. And so you can see that they have catch there, but they also have other interventions. And I would emphasize policy change. Policy change says many, many things. It encompasses many, many things: legislation, funding, enforcement, advertising, what the FDA does. But again, the point is it takes a comprehensive approach. Next. So now we're gonna move to Catch My Breath, and we want to start with a case presentation. So this is about 5 minutes, and Mitra, take it away.
Dear manufacturers of the vape and Juul, can I please have my kind, funny, athletic 14-year-old son back? He met you at a friend's barbecue last summer when he was 13, and he's been with you ever since. To all of you mothers and fathers out there who think, not my kid, this is your PSA. Yes, your kid. Maybe. Eyes wide open.
It was the summer after 7th grade going into 8th. I was at a family cookout and my friend offered it to me. I was like, I don't know. I took one hit of it and I thought, it's pretty good. And I kept using other people's, they kept offering, I kept saying sure. And then it got to the point where I was asking for it because I liked it that much. It was like a hard day at school. I would just go downstairs, watch some TV, relax, and use the Juul. You kind of build a tolerance for it where you don't feel the buzz anymore in your head. So you just want more and more of it to get that buzz.
You don't see the effects of it, and it's so highly addictive. One little pod has the equivalent of a pack of cigarettes. And by the end of this, Colin, I guess, was smoking or vaping a pod and a half a day. It blows my mind.
How's your football team? Okay.
We're going to the Super Bowl this Sunday.
Already?
And they were doing it in my basement, in the playroom, where I thought they were down there watching TV or playing a video game. He was doing it in his bedroom, in the bathrooms at school. They do it in the locker room. It is so undetectable that that's makes it that much easier for them.
Is that two queens?
Wait, Micah was a super soccer.
I was at a friend's house, and I had just used it, and his mom knocked on his bedroom door. We opened the door, and his mom had like wide eyes, like,
Took Colin home and we sat in the car. And that's when he could have very easily said, oh, that was my first time, I just tried it. But his response was very different than that.
I ended up telling her everything.
He broke down a little bit and said, I have a problem, I need help.
Over the past couple of years, we've seen a tremendous increase in the number of kids who come in because they're vaping. A lot of them will have compulsive use. In other words, they really can't stop. I have kids who tell me it's all they can really think about is nicotine. The higher dose results in all kinds of behavioral dysregulation that we had really never seen with cigarette smokers. We're seeing kids with physical symptoms related to high levels of nicotine, like nausea and vomiting. We haven't seen it here, but seizures have been described, and that's a direct result of having a toxic nicotine level.
They put me on like nicotine gum, which I didn't like. It stung my throat. And Chantix. It's like a smoking pill that you swallow. And like after 5 minutes of that, it made me throw up. I have these nicotine lozenges, which is like a sucking candy, kinda. And I use those to get me through the day, kinda. But it's day by day.
It has been devastating to watch our child go through the withdrawal process. You know, the leg shaking, the chewing his cheek, the anger, anxiety, stress, all emotional, all combined together.
We don't know what's going to happen in the long term. This is all fairly new, right? So will these kids stay off vaping? Will they ultimately become cigarette smokers or use some other substance? I think that that's an unknown question.
I know as I get older through high school, it's going to be a lot more common and a lot easier to get. I think I can make it through without doing it, but it's going to be a challenge for sure.
Imagine this, a mild to moderate eczema treatment.
Okay, we good? Okay. So, and also I noticed that we're at 8:39, so our time is about half done. Thank you for that, Mitra. So Colin Gabriel of Bridgewater, Mass. I'm grateful to him and to his family for being willing to share that story with us and with the whole country, obviously. That was from public TV station in Boston. Back to the slides, next slide. So as we became more aware of this problem here, and it was really talking to teachers in our community back in 2018, and I actually thought what we were going to be doing was tobacco prevention with cigarettes, but they said nope, it's vaping. And so a number of school health wellness educators already knew about this curriculum and were already teaching it, and they told us about it. It's called the Catch My Breath E-Cigarette Prevention Education Program, originated at University of Texas, Houston Health Science Center, and some of the researchers and leadership is also at the at University of Texas, Austin. As you can see, it consists of 4 40-minute sessions. That's a typical class length of a classroom session. 4 40-minute sessions once a week for 4 weeks, interactive, which means students get in small groups and talk with each other about the lessons. And they have some hands-on projects like designing posters or PSAs. Next slide. This curriculum, Catch My Breath, has been they actually have conducted clinical trials With this, this first one here, in public health reports in 2020, I think, reported what they did was they had schools, middle schools that got the curriculum and middle schools that didn't curriculum, and then that didn't receive it, and then they compared the number of students who reported vaping over the past 4 months or 16 months in the two different schools, and they found that the initiation of vaping. Remember, I said that our main target is the students who haven't started yet. What they found that the initiation of vaping in the non-tobacco using students was half in the schools that received the curriculum as in the schools that didn't. And this is their little graphic on the right to take all that medical jargon on the left-hand side and translate it into something that's easy for a parent or a teacher or a principal or a school superintendent or a school board member to see visually and to understand. Next slide. This Catch My Breath curriculum since 2018 has reached all over the country. More than 1.8 million students, all 50 states, and over 5,000 schools. When we started this in 2019, it was around 40 states. So you can see that blue is where nobody's gotten it, and red is where it's reached a lot. And we're kind of yellow or a little light blue, a lot because of our efforts to have this reach West Virginia, and we've worked some in Kentucky as well. Next slide. So this is going to be a shorter video, just 2 minutes, about letting the University of Texas explain this curriculum themselves. And they developed this for schools and principals and school boards and communities.
Catch My Breath is an e-cigarette and Juul prevention program developed by the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston School of Public Health and disseminated by Catch Global Foundation. The program is best practices based and meets national academic standards, Common Core standards, and many state standards for health education. Catch My Breath has 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th through 12th grade tracks. Schools may choose to teach the program in any grade or multiple grades, as each track is standalone. Thanks to funding from CVS Health, Catch My Breath is free to schools across the country. When schools enroll in the program, they receive access to all program materials through the Catch.org platform. The online platform allows the Catch team to keep all program materials up to date with the latest vaping products and science, as well as notify users when new resources become available. Catch My Breath consists of 4 lessons that each take 35 to 40 minutes. It's recommended that schools teach 1 lesson per week over the course of 4 weeks. The lessons are a combination of teacher presentations and peer-facilitated small group discussions and projects. Students will assess health hazards and dangers of e-cigarettes and Juuls, analyze personal influences and industry marketing tactics, and learn and demonstrate refusal skills. The program includes detailed teaching instructions, scripts, and PowerPoint slides. Minimal teacher planning is involved or needed. The curriculum can be taught in a variety of subjects including science, health, physical education, and advisory or homeroom. There's also a PE supplement that incorporates calisthenics and other physical activities alongside the core educational components and objectives. Before teaching the program, teachers are asked to watch an online training video. The video gives teachers a basic understanding of e-cigarettes and orients them to the program lessons and content. Schools are asked to participate in pre- and post-program teacher and student surveys. To learn more and enroll in the program, visit catchmybreath.org.
Okay, and with that, we're going to go back to the PowerPoint slides, and I'm going to hand off to Katie Birchfield to talk about how we have actually implemented this and how it's going in West Virginia. And her work has been very much involved in this evaluation. So just about all the numbers and things that she's going to be presenting are ones that she has worked to gather and organize and be able to present to the leadership of the Bureau of Public Health and to schools and communities.
All right, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for watching those videos. I think the first one in particular is pretty impactful and kind of is the reason we do what we do. So, like we said, my name is Katie, and I'm a research assistant with the West Virginia Alliance for Creative Health Solutions. And I actually got started as sort of a remote intern with the Appalachian Pulmonary Health Project back in January of 2021. So I was hoping to get involved the summer before, but COVID hit, and of course that changed things a lot. So it was interesting to sort of get involved in the project at a point when we had just switched over from an in-person version of delivering this curriculum to a totally digital version. So we had switched over from delivering things mostly inside of federally qualified health centers. So we were working a lot with healthcare professionals like respiratory therapists and nurse practitioners who were going into schools or federally qualified health centers and delivering the curriculum to their students. And the teachers were starting to get trained and actually deliver the curriculum directly to students in their remote classroom settings. And so that's kind of the transition point where I entered the project. And over the course of 2019 to 2023, we reached 8 counties, 6 of which were in West Virginia, and then 2 of which were in Kentucky. And again, this is phase 1 of the project, where we were sort of starting out with funding from the Palatine Foundation, and we're focused mostly on Southern West Virginia. And we reached 25 schools within those 8 counties. Over 100 teachers were certified to teach the curriculum. And these teachers completed the 1-hour certification program. So this is sort of an asynchronous program that teachers can complete online through the Catch My Breath website to become certified to deliver the curriculum to students in their classrooms. And we delivered, or these teachers really delivered the course over 9,000 times over the course of these few years that we were active, and over 6,000 individual students. So we did have some students who received the curriculum multiple times. And now we are focused on evaluating that project, kind of looking back on the last few years. During that process, we were collecting pre-tests and post-tests, and the teachers would give their students a pretest before they started delivering the curriculum. They would then go through the 4 modules that Catch My Breath provides, and then they would have their students complete a post-test. And all of this was online. We were using a platform called UpMetrics. We also asked teachers to complete a classroom evaluation form after each session. And so we were getting both student feedback on the curriculum and also teacher feedback. And we found significant improvements in students' knowledge about e-cigarettes, their reports of current use of e-cigarettes, and also their susceptibility to start using. And we are now working, the Appalachian Pulmonary Health Project, the West Virginia Alliance for Creative Health Solutions, are working together using that data that was collected throughout these few years to evaluate the project as a whole. And we're currently working towards our first publication about that project. And you can go to the next slide, please. All right, so now we are in phase 2 of this project. So during the time that the Appalachian Pulmonary Health Project was working on what we call CMB 510, so this project that was focused on delivering the curriculum to 5th through 10th graders in these 6 counties in Southern West Virginia and 2 counties in Kentucky, the West Virginia American Lung Association, along with the West Virginia Department of Health Division of Tobacco Prevention, or DTP, we're working together to get teachers trained to deliver this curriculum. So while our focus was primarily on delivery of the curriculum to students, ALA and DTP were largely focused on getting teachers trained to prepare them to later deliver the curriculum to students. And I mentioned earlier that we had our teachers complete the 1-hour asynchronous training, but the teachers in the ALA and DTP project actually used the 6-hour Train the Trainer program that CMB National provides. And this program is focused on preparing teachers to deliver the curriculum to their students, but also to train other teachers to deliver the curriculum as well. So this past summer, the Appalachian Pulmonary Health Project, or APHP, joined forces with ALA, DTP, and lots of other West Virginia groups that are also focused on this issue. And as a team, we are now, under the leadership of DTP, launching West Virginia's Clear Future, or WVCF. And our goal over the course of 2023 to 2026 is to bring the Catch My Breath program to all 160 West Virginia middle schools over these few years. And for this year in particular, this academic year, our goal is to have at least one CMB trained teacher at least one middle school in each county across the state, and also to have students active in at least one school per county. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so this is the flyer that the DTP created for West Virginia's Clear Future. And while the DTP is involved in the overall leadership of WVCF, the American Lung Association and Appalachian Pulmonary Health Project are primarily responsible for implementing the project. So making sure that teachers are getting trained, making sure that the curriculum is being delivered in schools, and the West Virginia Alliance for Creative Health Solutions is primarily responsible for doing formative and summative evaluation. So both evaluating the project throughout and making sure that we are getting continual feedback from students and teachers. And then at the end of the project, we will also be involved in sort of evaluating the project as a whole. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so the last thing we'll do is I just want to show everyone what that formative evaluation process looks like. So each week we have a meeting with the Division of Tobacco Prevention, ALA, APHP, and the West Virginia Alliance for Creative Health Solutions. So we all have sort of our separate roles come together in this one meeting to discuss what's going on in terms of implementation, evaluation, and any kinds of changes we might need to make. So if you go to the next slide. Thank you so much. So the first thing that we talk about as a group each week is the program participation. So this is a relatively recent PowerPoint for February 6th. So it's been a couple of weeks, but as of February 6th, we had 2,751 pre-surveys in grades 5 through 8. We also have a few more pre-surveys from students who are outside of those grades, but as a team, our focus is on reaching grades 5 through 8. So that's what we tend to report on in these formative evaluations. And then we also had 2,047 post surveys, again, just in grades 5 through 8. And these pre and post surveys were from a total of 23 different schools and 15 different counties within the state of West Virginia. And if you look at this timeline, you can see that over time, we've been getting more and more pre-surveys, and the post-surveys kind of follow closely behind. And so that's kind of what we want to see. Generally, we do get better participation on the pre-surveys, but overall, we are still seeing most students complete the post-surveys around the expected time frame of about a month later. So usually the teachers will deliver one module of the curriculum per week for 4 weeks. And then after that 4th session, they will have their students take the post survey. All right, next slide. And this is just a more detailed summary of which schools are active. So this information is especially helpful for the implementation team. So we make sure that that each teacher or individual who is delivering the curriculum in a given school has updates if they need them about their progress. So our goal is for each school to complete at least 70% of the post surveys as compared to pre-surveys. Oh, I saw you raised your hand in.
3-minute warning.
Oh, thank you. And so most of our schools, as you can see, have are approaching that 70% mark. And if we need to, then we reach out to teachers to let them know that they need to make sure that more students complete the post surveys. And the reason for that is that we do provide financial incentives to teachers for meeting certain requirements, and then also to schools in the form of wellness awards that they can use for wellness related activities at their school if their participation in the program is sufficient. All right, next slide, please. So these are a couple of maps that we also show at each session. And so on the left, we have in green the counties that have at least one trained teacher. And so we've reached teachers in 34 counties. And then on the right, we show in yellow the counties in which we have evidence of student instruction. So usually that's in the form of pre-surveys. So once we see pre-surveys come in from a school, they are highlighted in yellow on this map. And so we've reached 15 counties in terms of students. Next slide, please. All right, and then each week we also discuss the demographics of the student responses. So we are reaching mostly 6th through 8th graders, which is good. Generally 6th through 8th grade is middle school, and so we're glad to see that we're reaching our target demographic. We also take a look at the gender breakdown and the county level data as well. And you can go ahead and go to the next slide, please. All right, so then we also look at participation by school compared to that school's enrollment. So as you can see, there are a couple of schools like Hearts PK through 8 and Buffalo Middle School where we have really high participation. So most of the students in grades 5 through 8 at those schools have received the curriculum. And then we have a few other schools where maybe one class has received the curriculum, but we have a little further to go when it comes to reaching the whole student body. Next slide, please. All right, and we also like to just keep track of the vaping rates that students are reporting on the pre-surveys. So in terms of students who have ever vaped, 14% of respondents on our pre-surveys say that they have vaped at some point in the past. And then 4% of students report that they vaped in the past 30 days. Next slide, please. All right, and then finally on the post survey, we ask a number of questions that we do not ask on the pre-survey. So these are sort of agreement style questions where students are presented with a statement and they state how much they agree or disagree. And in general, we have received very positive feedback about students' confidence in using refusal skills that they learned from the program, Many students say that they are less likely to vape now that they've participated in the program. And then next slide. And again, just a few more reflection style questions we ask. Students tend to agree that they've learned a lot. Also that they think all middle and high school kids should go through the Catch My Breath program. And they also tend to report that they understand e-cigarette advertising better because of the program. All right, and next slide. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Dr. Doyle, do you want to add anything here at the end?
I also thank Mitra and Elizabeth for giving us this opportunity and for people being here. And of course, we'd be happy to do this again for another group or other groups. I know we won't get on the ECHO agenda again this year. But maybe next year reporting progress. And I'm sorry we used up all the time because we wanted to hear feedback from people, but especially thanks to all our APHP sites who are with us today.
Thank you both so much, Dr. Joel, Katie. We so appreciate your time today, sharing your expertise and all the amazing work that you both do. It's really incredible to see, and we just appreciate you both sharing that with us today. We can dedicate a minute or two to any questions, comments from the groups, just because I don't want to rush anything. I'm happy to do that. And I see Brandy chatted in saying it's nice to see schools in my county receiving this curriculum. That's amazing that you can see that in your own hometown. Okay. Any comments from the group? You're welcome to chime in or chat in. And we will have this recorded and up on our YouTube page. So if we get questions emailed to us, we'll be sure to send them your way, Dr. Doyle and Katie. But thank you again both so much. My only announcement is that the next session will be on March 18th, and Dr. Breweiler from the Occupational Medicine Residency Collaboration will be joining us and presenting on hard metal lung disease. So keep an eye out for that reminder. Thank you all so much. It's been a wonderful session, and we'll see you all next time. Thanks, guys. Bye.